broadcasting live out of a basement in Appleton, Wisconsin. You're tuned into Fox Cities Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio. We're the show that gives you an opportunity to call in and be a part of the show. Our call-in line is 920-358-0795. Core.
My next guests are an award-winning rock and roll band from the Green Bay Fox Cities area. They originally formed in 2019, and this band has taken inspiration from multiple genres, and they've created something their own. It's really hard to pigeonhole this band, which gives them a lot of flexibility to play with other bands, a lot of different settings. I'd like to welcome Trash Pandas. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Yeah, we're doing good. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for doing this. You have an album coming out Friday, which is pretty exciting. This is your second full length, but your third release overall.
It is, yeah. It's called Rising Up from a Downward Spiral. We've been working a long time on it. We've had a couple drummers and bassists in between our writing time here, so it's finally come to fruition, and we're really proud of it. It's the best thing we've done so far.
Can you tell me, let's go down the line and introduce everybody, what you do in the band, your name, and what you do in the band.
My name is Lacey. I am the vocalist.
Derek, I play the drums.
I'm Andy. I play the bass.
And I'm Curtis. I'm the guitarist.
And as far as the start of the band, is there anybody besides Lacey from when the band initially started, or is everybody else new?
I mean, Curtis has been with me for most of it, but not exactly the beginning. We had a different guitarist for maybe 3 months before Curtis joined.
It's more of a close enough type of
deal. almost a founding member.
So the band started, Lacey, you were kind of in different projects. You were doing some cover band stuff, and I know we've talked about it before, but for those just tuning in for the first time, how did this band start?
I just, the whole time I was doing cover bands, I had really hoped that one of them would turn into a band that would write music, and none of them were doing that, so I got tired of it. I started looking around on, Facebook for musicians, and pretty much everyone I knew who was a musician was already in something, so then I started going on, Craigslist, which is super sketchy, but that is how I found my first guitarist, and that's how the whole thing started, so I can't complain too much.
Good old Craigslist.
Well, how did, then Curtis came in 3 months after that. How did you find Curtis?
So after the first guitarist, the drummer and the bassist that we first had, I don't know, it's a very long thing here, but what happened was that I worked with somebody who was going to be our second guitarist, and that didn't work out, right off the bat, but he knew the first drummer through somebody else, so we just went and met with him. The bassist was somebody who played in a cover band with that drummer, so he just brought him in. And then their guitarist was actually Curtis's dad. So that's how Curtis got involved, was they knew him through his father. And
Curtis, what was your first initial impressions of joining Trash Pandas?
I was just really excited to do it, honestly, because, before joining this project, I've only done cover bands before. So it was really nice just to start, writing my own material and getting to work with these guys.
What did Curtis bring into the band that wasn't there before? Was there a different sound that he brought once he joined?
Yeah, he just had a completely different writing style than the first guitarist, which I think worked out well. The first one was very punk, which I enjoy punk, but Curtis is a little bit more all over the place with his styles, which is more fitting to me because I like things that are all over the place.
Well, that's one cool thing about Trash Pandas as well. It's hard to classify what kind of music you guys are. We're going to talk about the awards later, but you've got a lot of different influences, and as far as what does everybody bring to the table as far as influences, and what kind of music is your wheelhouse?
I grew up on a lot of old school punk. Well, maybe not necessarily old school, but a lot of late 80s, early 90s punk, NoFX, Rancid, that kind of stuff. And then as I got a little bit older, it was a lot of 2000s metalcore, As I Lay Dying, August Burns Red, Lamb of God, that kind of stuff. So the latter portion is what inspires a lot of my drumming, but I will always have a soft spot for some good old punk rock.
Andy?
I guess what inspires me now is just stuff like Periphery, Dance Gavin Dance, Knock Loose, and other stuff similar to that, just like metalcore, post-hardcore, anything core related.
Anything with core. He's going to love this station.
Anybody else?
Curtis?
I'm a bit all over the place too. Kind of like Eric, I started more on like the punk stuff, more like pop punk, and then I don't know, went to like post-hardcore bands after that, and now it's in like hardcore bands, and it's just progressively gotten heavier over the years.
Yeah, I mean, for myself, I've been all over the board. Like, when I was a young teenager, I was very into pop punk. Like, my first favorite band ever was Bowling for Soup. And then I started listening to really old stuff in high school, like Led Zeppelin and the Beatles and stuff. And then, I don't know, I just progressed from there. I got into more, like, emo stuff, and then just, like, experimental has been, like, my most recent stuff. I think about 5 years ago was when I discovered Mr. Bungle, and then I was like, holy shit. I don't know, I like the weird stuff that it doesn't sound like everything you hear, so
when you discovered Mr. Bungle, did you go back to some of Mike Patton's other bands and start listening
yeah,
to Faith No More and stuff like that?
Yeah, I have like all of the records now, like Tomahawk and Phantomas, and he has his solo stuff too, and his weird opera stuff that he does like in a different language, and I've delved into all of it a little bit, and it's pretty wild how versatile he is.
Well, I think that's something you guys have been in different projects, and it's kind of cool when you see a band even around here, and then you find out they're in this band or that band, and you check it out because of that connection, and then all of a sudden it's like a whole nother band that just opens doors and then opens doors and opens doors. Trash Pandas have really been playing shows, and it's amazing how many shows you guys go through. I mean, does that wear on you after a while?
I mean, we're always tired. I mean, if we could just quit our day jobs, we'd be solid. But no, I think the thing is that like that's what we enjoy. Our day jobs give us more money. That's why we do those. But we enjoy the music, and we're not willing to give it up. So we just don't sleep instead.
I mean, is there ever a lot of jobs that prevent you guys from doing certain shows? I mean, I don't know what you do for day jobs, but
I wouldn't have the job that I have if they didn't allow me to kind of come and go as I please. So when I first had my interview at this job, I asked my boss what the hours were, and he said, whatever you want them to be, I don't really care. And I was like, okay, perfect, dude. I can just come and go whenever I please. So if I don't have like if we have a gig that's far away on a Friday or something, I'll just work 410s or something like that and get out the door. Like, as long as my stuff's getting done, they don't really care. So,
and this, yeah, that's the same thing with you.
Yeah, I'm a bakery manager, so I've been there the longest of everybody. So I make the schedule, and therefore I just work around like, do I have to work early this day or late this day to make things work? And everybody I work with is pretty cool about switching shifts if I end up with something last minute too. So I'm lucky in that regard.
And you guys also, this is going to be your second full-length album that's coming out on Friday. But before we talk about the new album, let's talk about like the first album and then the album the EP that came out last year. As far as releasing that EP, why did you decide to just put out the 4 songs at that point, and what brought you back to wanting to put out another full-length album?
At the point of the EP, we just really needed something out there that sounded like who we have become, because the first album is very alternative. It's much lighter. It's just a completely different style of music based on, the people we were working with at the time. They were just different kinds of musicians. So, like, people go on the internet and they listen to the song Weed Smoking Alcoholic. Well, that really doesn't sound like us anymore. And if we want people to hire us and not be disappointed, we had to have something out there like, hey, this is the sound that we have. So it was important for us to get that done just so that we weren't like, I don't know, so we didn't feel like we were just lying to people about who we were when we sent them our history to hire us.
Were you kind of nervous? Like, you guys have an image, and right now you all have the black shirts on. So I think like people see you, and then the song titles. You kind of like judge. Okay, well, this is like a drug slinging dark gothic metal band. But do you get that a lot where people get these stereotypes and then you play and then they come up to you and say you were totally different than I thought you were going to be?
All the time.
I think people end up assuming we're like a black metal band because of my makeup. And then we play and it's completely different.
Yeah, people all the time tell me, like, I thought you guys would be, like, a straight-up metal band, or I thought you would be a straight-up punk band. Like, somebody looks at me and has, like, oh, this is what you're gonna sound like, and then I don't sound like that. And same with everybody else, like, our styles together don't usually mesh as well as it does for this project, so.
Well, and you had the dreads for a while, which
Yeah.
ended up changing that up, which did a lot of the Trash Pandas fans flip.
I
when that
mean-
happened, like when Bob Dylan went electric.
Most of them were supportive and were like, hey, that looks cool, but there were definitely a few that were like, well, why'd you get rid of them? And I'm like, well, they were extensions and they were pulling out my hair and I didn't want to go bald, so sometimes you gotta switch things up.
Well, Curtis, what got you started with the eye makeup?
Just like doing it. There's not really much else to it.
Fair enough.
Didn't that, the first time you did that was like to go see My Chem,
Yes.
wasn't it? And then you were just like, this is me now.
I liked how it looked. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to change it now.
That's awesome.
Everybody,
Different
it's funny because like he just does it because he likes the look of it, and everybody's like, "Oh, he's a raccoon, like a trash panda." I'm like, sure, if that's what you get out of it.
Is it almost for you like getting ready for game time? Do you guys have rituals that you do before you get ready to
I
hit the
think all
stage?
of us do.
Yeah, we do,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I go sit in the car for 30 minutes and do my warm-ups and take my voice supplement. Like everybody does something here.
For the record, I have never heard these vocal warm-ups. She will not allow it.
No, and I mean, like we're dating. I live with him, and I don't do them. They're so freaking goofy. Like they are so helpful, but you feel like such an idiot doing them. Like you pull your tongue out of your mouth and make like these gee noises, and no, like it's embarrassing. I very much appreciate like my teacher Paul Fontaine for teaching them to me because I am leaps and bounds better than what I was. But to do them in front of people is no.
I brought this up on the show before, but have you seen the Bon Jovi documentary? It feels like a weird thing to ask people.
No.
I don't think so.
It's on Hulu, and it's interesting because he's got vocal problems. So he's documenting his vocal problems and all the techniques he's doing. He's got his like finger in his mouth, and he's making weird sounds. But it's weird, and it's out there for everybody to see. But
Yeah.
it's so vulnerable, and I'm not a huge Bon Jovi fan.
Yeah.
I'll listen to it if it's on and I can't turn it off. But I'd suggest if you have a chance to see the documentary, even if you're not a fan of that band, it's interesting just for the voice itself.
Oh yeah.
And he ends up getting like a little plastic, like in like his plastic larynx or something.
Interesting.
Yeah, Richie Sambora has some like opinions about it, obviously.
Of course.
But would doing a documentary ever be something you guys would do, and how would that turn out? Would it be pretty controversial, or do you guys have a pretty harmonious life so far as a band?
We get along pretty well. I don't think that there's not like any infighting. I mean, we've had uncomfortable situations with past members before, but I mean, the current lineup is probably the best iteration that we've had, or at least since I've been in the band. And I think we're just a group of 4 best friends that are just trying to chase their dream together.
I think if we recorded one that, unless you were just super into like our music writing process, you would be bored because we're not party people. We go to those shows, we watch the other bands, and we go home. Like Curtis will have like 1 drink, like nobody does drugs. We go home and we watch TV and hang out with our cats. Like we're not the stereotypical rock band.
It happens all the time. People ask us to, like, if they want to buy us drinks or you want some of this weed or whatever, and like, no, I want to go home and go to bed.
The fact that you guys are playing so many shows, do you feel you have to stick around for each band every time? Because that's a lot of...
Well, we try to always make sure that at least 1 or 2 of us will stick around for a couple different reasons. There's like, you want to support your other bands. Like it always sucks when you're playing and you see one of the bands isn't there anymore and like they didn't stick around for you.
Or
so
you
like,
see them like actually walking out of the door.
right, yeah. So it's just like a courtesy thing at the very least. And then for the other reason is we like to keep our merch table open as long as humanly possible because that's what actually makes us money. So if we all leave, then we don't have the opportunity to make money. And I can't tell you how many times some drunk idiot at the end of the night wants to come over and buy $100 worth of stuff. Like it's just
It's funny because he's the one who always wants to go to bed, and he'll like start packing up. I'm like, give it 10 minutes. I swear someone's gonna come over here, and they always do.
Have you had anything walk off, get stolen yet when the table wasn't being watched?
yeah.
That stinks. Was it valuable merch or
it was
something that was?
It was our cash box.
Oh, the cash box.
At our
That's even
birthday
worse.
show, somebody took like $300 while we were on stage. So now we wear a fanny pack.
That's pretty dirty. You know,
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Our hometown birthday show. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, that
Well, I mean, and there wasn't any security cameras or anything in the venue.
they said their security camera didn't work, so it was just there for show.
Yep.
I feel there's a lot of cameras like that. To be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, our cash box wasn't locked, and I guess somebody just like walked up and whoop, just went and grabbed it.
Yeah. So I mean, the fanny packs now, I suppose works. Do you have trouble making change, or have you gone to taking digital?
We do digital, yeah, as well as the cash. I mean,
Do you feel you sell more taking the like
oh,
digital stuff?
100%. Yeah, you kind of have to. Like, the only thing we don't have right now is the Square card reader. We do, like, literally any of the, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. We have all of that stuff. So, for the most part, people don't get turned away because most people have one of those. But we're working on getting on the card reader, too, just so we can take everything because huge amount of our sales comes from Cash App and things like that. Like, people just don't carry cash like they used to.
Yeah, you gotta have it. And if you tell somebody to go to an ATM, there's an okay chance that they just won't go do it.
Right.
I probably wouldn't do that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
I can't blame them.
Well, so the album, you guys decided to record a new album. How long was this in the making?
That's a good question.
I mean, the second album, we've been really trying to put out since before Derek even joined the band, So, like, with our first drummer and our old bassist as well, we were working on things for the album. Most of those got scratched when we got new members. So it's been really in the works since we finished our first album. It's just that we finally had a solid enough group to actually get it done.
Well, and you decided to go work with David again over at Source Tracks. So what made you originally go to David, and what has kept you with David all this time?
Originally, I think we just got a tip from somebody. We were just looking around. Somebody name dropped him, and we went and had an interview with him. And I personally just really liked him from the get-go. He's very personable. His studio is out of his house, so it's kind of cozy as well. It doesn't make you feel intimidated or anything like that, but it also has a professional setup. Like, his entire upstairs of his house is just studio stuff. One of the things I really liked about him is that he tries to sample things as minimally as possible. There are some producers out there, like especially if you get more into metal, they'll record your drums, but it ends up getting almost completely sampled over just because that's just the way that it sounds. And that was one of the things that was really important to me personally, was how do you record drums? And I liked his answer, and we went from there, and we just really like his product, and he's got great prices, and I don't know, treats us like we're friends, and he's just a really good dude. Like, I have no complaints about him at all.
Yeah. And I mean, Andy actually recorded there with his prior band too.
Yeah, almost everything that my last band did was through David. And I've known David since high school, so like he's like an actual friend before I even did any of this stuff.
Right.
How long was the songwriting and stuff before you went and contacted David to record it?
I mean, the last album came out in 2021, and we really started writing new material quite soon after that. So, I guess three-ish years.
Wow.
I mean, you could kind of put an asterisk on that too, because I'm sure that with the member changes, it kind of like sputtered around a little bit.
Oh yeah, there's so many songs that were just completely scrapped because we have new members and we just came up with things that fit us better.
I want to say about like half of the album was mostly done before Andy joined, and then the rest of it came pretty soon after he joined. Like our writing process really sped up with those two working how they work together, so that was really great.
And David, did you like working with Trash Pandas?
Oh, it was the best.
Oh, he's here.
David.
They're all throwing their headphones on again. So I don't know
They were
if
the absolute best to work with. They all came super prepared, and everything was so easy to record. Mother Nature was not kind to us those 2 weeks, so we had more limited time than we had thought, and everybody absolutely crushed it.
on the new album, it's as far as the direction, it does sound like it goes. I hear more punk than on the last release, so I don't know if that was something that you also noticed, David.
This album is all over the place. I don't even know if they know what style they are.
Are you pretty lenient with them as far as when they're working on recording? Are you like recommending they maybe change certain parts, or do you just let them do their thing?
So when I'm...
Oh no.
Did we drop the call?
fittingly...
There we go.
Well,
Can hear you again.
let's change a note to make that a little more in key. But generally speaking, I like to hear the band's ideas first and then build off of that.
Like we were talking about source tracks, and it seems like you're doing more and more bands over there, and you've got a podcast people should check out. You've got an episode with Trash Pandas that I think you're going to be releasing pretty shortly.
Yeah, it's going to be coming up pretty quick. I wanted to have it ready for the album release party at Pharmapalooza for the Trash Pandas. It's on June 7th, I believe.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
Do you guys have any questions for David?
How's your morning? Did you wake up just for this?
What's that?
Did you get up just to do this?
No, I'm going to band practice right now, actually. So.
Oh, okay.
Cool. We hope you have a wonderful time.
I've the best bandmates in the world. They're super talented. I don't even know why they let me join the band. They're just so good.
Well, David, thanks again, and we really look forward to hearing the new album.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And hope everyone has a good morning. And I'll see all you guys in the Trash Pandas at Pharmapalooza on June 7th.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
We'll see you there, David.
All right, sweet.
See ya.
Thanks, David.
Bye.
That was cool. So, got a little time with David there in the morning.
There you go.
It was a little rocky, but we got there.
We got there.
A while. So recording with David, it's something you're familiar with, something you're comfortable with. So it probably made the process a little less intimidating on the new album. It seems like you guys are going for a different color scheme. Trash Pandas historically has been yellow and black, and now it seems like you're moving into the red realm on this album. Is that intentional? Are you going for a new kind of branding?
I don't think the red was necessarily planned. We reached out to a local tattoo artist. Her name's Casey Lammers for a album art, and we kind of just gave her a broad idea of what we were looking for, and we're like, here, just do it. And that's what she came up with. Like, she sent it back to us, and that was just the colors that she had chosen, and we liked it. So that was pretty much it.
And what they sent you, that's the cover of the album?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
awesome. Yeah, so the reds, no yellow at all on this album
Not
cover.
on this one, no.
No.
What's the title mean? What's the whole thing behind the title? Was that calculated for any particular reason? It's also the title track on
It is the
album.
title track. It's just, I thought that it was a fitting title because most of the album is about overcoming things, overcoming mental health struggles and, past relationships that didn't go so well and just, life in general. So I felt like that the title of that kind of encompassed the entire album, whereas the track itself is really just about getting out of a relationship that wasn't healthy for either of us anymore. So it rising up from a downward spiral, actually, making yourself get better after being in a situation that wasn't great for you.
Yeah, and it's the other tracks that I've heard on the album are really good. Like I said, they're kind of in the same vein, but to me seem a little more punk, but that's just my opinion. Ashes to Ashes, I thought had some hard rock influences, and the double bass drum. Are you using a real double drum or
No, just a double kick pedal. I am not nearly patient enough to try to get both of my kick drums to be tuned the same. Also, it's expensive, and I am poor, so there's that.
And then the guitar work too. I mean, I can tell that you've got some harder metal influences in there as well with your playing. Before I forget too, like, are you trained? Did you take lessons for guitar or self-taught?
I took lessons briefly for a few years when I was much younger, but from that point on, just self-taught.
I mean, the guitar work is really good. It's Ashes to Ashes, again, some hard rock influences. It changes and kind of contrasts with the other song I heard, Oh Dear, which I heard some My Chemical Romance and some of those kind of influences.
Yeah.
But again, and that's just all, like we talked about on a past show with Lacey, everybody hears different things and tries to compare it to what they think they hear. But that's what I heard. And I like the fact that it sounded like you guys are evolving and kind of growing and moving in your direction, a different direction, which instead of just kind of releasing the same type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I almost feel like every song could be, a different genre on this album, at least a different subgenre of rock. There's just, we all have such different influences and listen to such a wide array of things that we don't want to stay in one little box.
Yeah, I mean, I think what happened on this album was like there were a couple times where, like I said earlier, I am a lot bigger of a fan of like old school punk rock than a lot of these guys are, I think. Not that you guys don't like it, but I think I'm just a little bit more well versed in it. And for that song, Oh Dear, that we were just talking about, Lacey and I on the way home from a gig once smashed the absolute crap out of a deer, and that poor guy did not live to see another day. So we decided to take make something out of a bad situation, and we wrote a song about it, and I really wanted it to be like a classic punk rock song. So I told these guys, like, hey, can we get like some just plain old punk riffs for this, and let's go from there. And they obliged.
It's very much sort of based around like a very sad themed song sounding happy, so I definitely see the My Chemical Romance aspect in there because they were very good at that kind of thing.
So the Oh Dear was about a deer?
It's about an actual deer,
like
yes.
Deer. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Double entendre.
Behind the music. So as far as the lyrics for that song, does that reference hitting the deer?
Oh yeah, if you listen to it, it's or if you read through the lyrics, like at first you might think that it's just like me singing to a person, but like once you hear like, oh, this was about hitting a deer, you're gonna just laugh and be like, okay, I totally see where all of these words are coming from, and I don't know, it's a funny song. It really is.
Well, this is a copy of the new CD. Thanks for bringing this.
Of course.
People can pick this up Friday. I haven't opened this yet. I should have. Are the lyrics in here?
They're not.
What are we going to find when we open this up? What's inside?
A picture of us and a CD.
How are CDs doing?
Honestly, not bad. We sell a decent amount of them.
We do.
I was looking at your merch again today, and then just again astounded at like the variety you guys have. It's pretty impressive. Your website is trashpandasrock.com, and it's who updates the website?
Madison Demise. She's like our, what is the word I'm looking for? Like, she manages our internet stuff that we don't know how to do. That's a very bad way of putting it. But no, she like helps us make advertisement videos and flyers for shows, and yeah, she updates our website for us with our new shows and accomplishments and merchandise. So she's awesome with that.
Yeah, you can buy a lot of stuff on there, a lot of different hats and shirts and
something for everyone.
People love their hats. We sell a lot of hats.
Something for everyone. I like that. You guys played Mile of Music last year. How did that feel to finally be able to play that festival in this city? It's sort of the banner festival of the year. How did it feel to finally knock that one off your list?
It was pretty awesome. It also felt a little strange because I don't think that we are necessarily like a lot of the bands on that kind of bill. There's a lot of like Americana and folksy kind of stuff and some country and just not necessarily our genre of music. We had a lot of people approach us being like, wow, you guys you're breaking the mold for this one. Like there's finally a hard rock or metal-ish act punching through to actually get on this thing.
Yeah, this year I've seen some of the, new added bands, and they do have, I think more variety. Like last year we had Lunar Moth. They're really cool, and they're definitely a different, like more of a doom pop rock, so that's a cool variety to have there too. But yeah, this year they added some really cool local acts like Scorched Waves and the French Irish Coalition, so it's definitely getting more variety, and I love to see that.
You guys take advantage of any of the amenities they offer?
Of course we do.
Free food, yeah, of course.
And did you find any bands that you didn't know about last year while you were walking around checking out the festival?
Who was that band from New York that we were...
The Thing.
They were cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
There were lots. I mean, it's hard to remember all of them, but there were lots and a lot of really good ones.
Yeah,
there's also like massages, and they really treat you right at Mile Music.
They do.
It's nice because usually as a musician you'd go to a bar with a dirty restroom and you sleep in somebody's basement while you're traveling, so it's good to get the rock star treatment, for real.
You guys were announced for Mile again this year, which is fantastic. Mm-hmm. That's great that you're welcome back. So
yeah, we're excited about it.
You mentioned dirty bathrooms, Lacey. And so being a female in this band, you've probably played a lot of places with dirty bathrooms, which probably isn't a big deal for these guys all the time. But I mean, how do you deal with it?
Hover.
I mean, if you can hover, I mean, do you just toilet paper the top?
Oh yeah, I mean, like
hope for the
you
best.
just do the best you can with it and wash your hands like really well.
You can.
Yeah, sometimes there's not even soap. That's always sad.
I can't imagine, because I mean, I think we've all been to bars where the bathroom door doesn't even close tight. Or
you gotta keep your leg up on it.
Yeah. Okay, there was one in I had to take a crap, and there's just like it's like a curtain. Like there's no door, there's no nothing. You just close the curtain and you pray to God that nothing's gonna happen. And it's just, my Lord.
That probably isn't a good option when you have to go right before or after the show.
No, but I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Makes it fun, right?
I guess.
It's such an adventure.
It's an
You're in a
adventure.
band, you must see so many cool things.
Well, you guys had some big news a few weeks ago. You were nominated for a WAMI award and you won.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great. You won a BAMI too. I mean, the awards are starting to come in. You're starting to get some of the accolades for years of hard work. Tell me how that feels.
It's always great to be recognized by your peers, and I think this year's award from WAMI was a little bit of a step up from last year. I mean, not to say that we aren't ungrateful, but last year it was the People's Choice of the Northeast, so it kind of was just like that thumb of Wisconsin, I guess you could call it, and then this year it was like Hard Rock Performer of the Year, just
entire state,
right? The entire state in general. So that was really cool to get. It's nice to see people support us in that aspect. So it's nice to see original music actually get a tip of the cap a little bit there.
Did you have a good feeling that you're gonna win, or was that a total shock?
It was hard to say. I mean, we were against a bunch of bands that I think are really cool, and like Versus Me was on there, and they're really doing like a lot. So I didn't know if we would beat them or not, but it was cool that we did.
Well, and I think for that award too, you didn't get to go up on stage and accept it, right? So I mean, did you know that going into it, or did you have a speech written in case?
No, I mean, we didn't write a speech. Like, we're very like fly by the seat of your pants with that kind of thing. We didn't have a speech written for the BAMIs either. But no, they don't tell you ahead of time who gets to go on stage, which is not my favorite. I wish they would at least like let you know, but It is what it is.
Did you get a chance to talk to other musicians there and meet anybody new at the awards this year? I know you all were there.
I think it was somebody wasn't.
Oh, who wasn't there?
Andy
wasn't there. Oh, last year was Curtis, and this year you bailed on it.
Yeah.
Well, Curtis didn't make the BAMIs, but yeah. Last year at the WAMIs, actually the whole band was there, shockingly.
Yeah.
But no, Andy had to go see his wife's movie, so
Oh.
Yeah, she appeared in a student film, and it premiered at a cinema in Oshkosh, so I went to that.
That's cool. That's a good valid excuse. I'm sorry. I was
We did.
We had somebody with a fantastic editing job, and
No, like,
you right there just proved that it worked.
a lot of people were like, "Oh, I thought he was actually there," because we literally took a photo of him from the event he went to with his wife, because he's wearing his nice suit, and we made a sticker out of it and shoved it on there. It looks wonderful.
I'll paint me fooled.
Yeah, exactly. Good enough.
And so this year, a controversial thing about the WAMIs was winners had to buy their awards. Are you guys buying an award?
I mean, we did, because we
did that last year too. I don't.
They were selling them last year too?
Yeah.
I don't know that.
I think last year's were much cheaper.
Yeah.
This year's was like $90. It's a big crystal-looking thing, and it's neat. But yeah, I think the thing is that nobody knew that we were gonna have to buy our own awards until like after we won them, and then we're like, oh, we'd really like to have that as like a memento of what we did. But
right, you want to be able to show people like quantifiable.
And we're in like a position where we can afford it, so we did it. But I have seen other musicians say like, hey, we aren't making any money and we won this award, we can't really afford it, and I think that's sad.
Yeah, that's a kind of a big chunk of money. Yeah, but I mean, at least you win it. But yeah, there's always, you want to be grateful, but at the same time, it's really easy to get negative, I guess.
It always can be, yeah.
But that's great that you guys won that, and I know you won the medal. I mean, you're all over the place, hard rock.
Yeah, I mean, like back when they were doing the WAMI nominations, we were nominated for, I think, like alternative punk like every like subgenre of rock, and it's like, okay, so nobody knows what we are. That's
I like to say that we're too punk for the metal bands and we're too metal for the punk bands.
Yeah.
I'm behind on comments here. AJ said going back to the bathroom conversation, or the plumbing doesn't work, which that's true. That's a whole nother.
I've seen that too.
Yeah, and especially when you find out that after or before, I mean, that makes you can't even hover if the plumbing doesn't work, and there's a lot of stuff in there already. That's pretty disgusting. Yeah, so the awards, now you've done that, you've won awards, now you just have to keep on winning them.
We'll try our best anyway.
And then so then also the buying the awards, I thought Mark Goldie won 3 awards that night.
He did,
and I know he's got a desk full of them, so I'm sure he'll have to pony up.
Yeah,
close to $300.
I was gonna say that's a lot of money if you win 3.
Yeah, I was gonna do something today where I play a clip from a past show, and I'm gonna play one from when Lacey was on the show almost 2 years ago. That's pretty amazing. And you had a lot of guts. I just reached out to you 2 years ago, and you came by yourself, and we'd never met before. I could have been a Craigslist serial killer.
I've been in a few of those situations, and so far I'm still alive.
But during the conversation, we obviously talked about a lot of stuff. I'm going to play a clip now, and then let me know if it still rings true.
Sure.
So you might need to put the headphones on for this one. As far as protecting your hearing when you're performing, are you wearing earplugs or anything?
No, I'm not. I probably should, but no, I have not gotten into doing that yet.
Are your ears ringing typically after a show, or kind of muffled?
Not usually. If we have really bad sound people sometimes, but for the most part, our sound people have been good, and we run our own sound at a lot of shows that wouldn't have sound people too. So yeah, for the most part, as long as the person running it is good, it's not too bad on the hearing.
Are you wearing earplugs now?
Not while I am performing, but for all the other bands, yes. Like I do my best to protect my hearing as much as I can, but while I'm performing, it muffles what I'm doing, so I haven't done that, but I should really just buy some eargasms or something, because those are supposed to work well for singers.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty amazed, like with the amount of shows, like not wearing earplugs. Wow. Are you guys wearing earplugs?
I have been wearing them for forever, and I am trying to convince everybody else to do so, and they won't, and it drives me a little crazy.
Tinnitus, it's a real thing. I mean, I've got to have a fan when I go to bed. It stinks, but never a quiet moment. And it sneaks up on you quick. All of a sudden, before you know it, it's there.
To be fair, 2 years ago we were playing shows, but we weren't playing this
The
amount of
amount
shows. So yeah, I've definitely tried to protect my hearing more as we go on, because I'll be sad if I can't do this until I'm dead.
Well, and are you being more selective? You mentioned in that clip that you guys would do your sound. Are you guys doing that anymore? Or have you moved down to the point where if they don't have their own sound, you're not?
I mean, we do have a sound system that we can use, but none of us are like really versed in that anymore. You know, our first drummer would be the one who would set it up and, you know, run that, and none of us know what we're doing exactly. So we've brought our own equipment a few times, but then we hire somebody to run it for us.
Right. But it's just a lot more stuff to haul around.
So much more.
It is, and like there's other people who get paid to do that are better at it than us. So like, why do it ourselves if we can have somebody good do it? You know, I mean, more often than not, it's not coming out of our pocket. It's usually the venue that's paying for it anyway. So I mean, why not try to get a better sound?
What's the most unusual place you guys have played so far?
How about we all say what we think? Because there's been a lot of them.
I'd say the skate park, and that wasn't that long ago, but that was just weird to just play on the top of a ramp, pretty much.
Yeah.
That barn we played at. I think that place
Oh,
was pretty...
yeah.
I loved that place.
I love that place too. Just everywhere you looked, you'd find something that was like
It was
weird.
so cold.
So I'll try to remember the names of these venues as we go. Jibasso, like Green Bay Action Sports. I can't remember the exact name.
Yeah, something like that.
That's what Curtis was talking about. We played there for like their anniversary show recently. And then the Greenhouse in Whitewater, I believe, is where Andy was talking about.
Technically like LaGrange or something.
LaGrange, that's right. The
yeah.
ZZ Top song.
I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah, weird places. I don't know. I mean, just something off the top of my head. We played the Delft last weekend up in Escanaba. It's literally just like this old theater in Escanaba that if you were just driving by and looking at it, you'd be like, oh, that place is probably not open for business anymore. But here it is. Like, I'm pretty sure the owner lives upstairs with his dog, and there's just this dog running around enjoying the music. And
His name is Doobie, and he's wonderful.
yeah, he's a great dog.
For me, I think that our weirdest spot was a flooded basement.
I was not there for that one.
No, this was
basement.
like way back. We were a very, very young band at that point, a few months like old overall. And yeah, Curtis was there with me. It was a place called the Crop Circle, and it was like a house show, but we had just gotten like a ton of like rain and snow melt, and the basement was flooded, and it was a little bit scary to have electrical equipment down there.
Wow, and he still played it.
We did. We didn't walk away. We were a new band. We're like, we're gonna play wherever we can play.
I was finding mud on my gear for like weeks afterwards.
Have you ever just flat out refused to play a show? I mean, if you're not saying no to that, you're probably not saying no to anything.
For a while, we weren't saying no to anything. I mean, at this point, there are certain places that it's like, okay, if we've been there a few times and the crowd is really never that good, or they don't, give us a guarantee at least, then, and if we're traveling a lot, there's lots of things to look at, but we don't say yes to absolutely everything anymore.
Are you guys done playing for the exposure?
Yes. Yes. We have started asking for a guarantee now, and we like to get that guarantee, especially locally. If it's somewhere farther away where we haven't necessarily played as much, like I will be more willing to take a door deal. Like if we go to Des Moines and they can only offer us a certain amount of money, then I'm more willing to accept that than something local. Like I think we have proven our worth locally, and we deserve recognition and compensation for that. So.
Yeah, I think when we did this, the roundtable show a while back, Lacey was here, and we had Jamie from Sweet Talk and Andrew from Talk, and yeah, I think we kept saying local bands, and I think Jesse Powell commented, these are regional bands, and I thought about it, and I'm like, he's right.
Right.
You guys are a regional band.
Right.
Like, any band that's playing around, you guys aren't just playing the Fox Cities, you guys are going all over the place,
Yep.
regionally. So I appreciated Jesse making that comment. As far as people on the scene, I mean, I know that you've got probably bands. You played with Sweet Talk recently.
Yeah.
The show coming up on Friday. Who are some of the bands that you are playing with at this album release, Pharmapalooza show?
Friday, the lineup is Bud, the Roving Scallywags, and then us, and then Mother Wind and Sons of Kong.
Yep, you got them all. I'm looking at it. It's $15, and it is 18 and over, so not an all-age show.
Not quite. 18 and older, although, like, if you have a kid who's a teenager and you make sure that they don't drink, they aren't going to yell at you about it. I did talk to Jason about that.
Yeah, we're pretty relaxed. Yeah, that has happened before. Like, some kid really wanted to see us, not like last year when we were playing there, and I think his dad came with him, and he was like hanging out with him for our set, and then they hightailed it out of there after that.
Just be responsible, That's all they ask.
So that's got to be hopefully the weather is good. It's Pharmapalooza, so it's outside, right?
They got a tent. They got a real big tent.
Thank goodness for the tent. We don't want another Bratfest.
No.
Yeah.
What happened at Bratfest? Fill me in.
We drove all the way down to Madison for our load-in time, and there was lightning, and they're like, "Oh, well, we're evacuating the island." And
no!
We sat in our cars for about 3 hours, and then they were like, "Hey, your set's canceled. Sorry," and then we went home.
Yeah, we just waited as long as we possibly could, and they're like, we still can't open up yet. We're sorry about that. So we're just really hoping they let us play next year instead.
Yeah.
We've got a question from Tyler Tolman.
Hi, Tyler.
Sherry Lane, awesome band.
Yes.
Hey, Trash Pandas, just wanted to send some love. Also, the let's see, the Delft in Escanaba is such a wild venue.
Yes.
It is.
So good. We love you too, Tyler.
Yeah, and Sherry Lane. So many great bands around here. We're so lucky.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, there's just such a variety of sounds too. Like, I love playing shows where none of the bands are like the same genre.
Yeah.
I've got to ask you guys about the Green Jello shows you did. 2 shows with Green Jello. Tell me how those went. I know those are normally quite a scene with the punk rock puppet show.
They're wild.
They're very well. Very nice people though too. We interacted with quite a number of them. It's interesting. They have like their Green Jello stuff, but there's also like a few other acts that they carry with them. So like there's like, what was it, like 3 or 4 sets or something like that
like
before Green Jello would even go
20
on.
minutes long.
Right, yeah.
So all of these people are like part of Green Jello, but they also do their own like acts outside of it. Like there was a band called like Thinky Flesh and then Lazy Ass Destroyer and like I can't remember the rapper's name, but he had his wiener dog up there and was rapping about his dog, and it was just great.
Yeah, super nice people. I'm really happy we got to do that with them. So,
did you throw on a punk rock puppet hat or a mask?
Unfortunately,
no. I wanted to put on the one that looked like poop, but somebody else had taken it already.
Did you get a chance to talk with Bill at all before the show?
Not a whole lot. He was pretty busy, but like he said hi to us. He was very pleasant. So
yeah.
Are you guys fans of any of Green Jello's catalog? I know that Serial Killer was a big album back in the 90s.
I know the 3 Little Pigs song.
Yeah, I mean, going into it, like we knew their big hit, but looking into more of it, like they're a cool band. I enjoy them. I'm glad we got to open for them because I've learned a lot more of what they do now.
Yeah, and opening a big show I know is on your bucket list, like doing something at the Epic Center, something like that. As far as reaching out, I don't know how that works. Like,
believe me, we don't really either. We're figuring that out.
Is there a place around Appleton that you haven't played that you guys would love just to break into?
Let's think there for a second. I mean, Appleton Beer Factory, we've done. That's a super cool venue. Yeah. I mean, there's always Gibson Music Hall, but that one I know also doesn't do a lot of heavier style music. I don't know. You guys, what do you think? Curtis, you grew up around here.
It's kind of it.
Yeah.
Like we played a lot of places in Appleton. Like it's hard to think of venues that like in Appleton that we'd really want to break into. But I mean, like we've had like a few shots to like even try to get in at the rave, just like with some like bigger festivals and stuff. I know we were trying to do Milwaukee Metal Fest, but just didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got yelled at for that one a little bit.
Why?
Somebody was on the internet saying you shouldn't apply because you're not metal. So yeah.
Did you say you want a metal?
Well, at that point we hadn't yet, but no, we did laugh about that a little later, and it's like no, we don't call ourselves a metal band because we know we're not actually strictly metal or punk or anything, but we do have a lot of aspects of it in our writing, and I don't know, some people just refuse to see that because I'm not screaming my head off.
As far as how you're going to promote this upcoming album, again, title is Rising Up from a Downward Spiral. Want to make sure I got that right. That's a mouthful.
Yep.
Coming out on Friday. Can get it at Pharmapalooza 3. How are you going to promote this album? Are you going to do anything differently that you didn't do on the prior 2 releases?
We've been smashing social media as much as we possibly can, like pay the Facebook stuff to get it up there as much as possible. All of us individually have been sharing it as much as possible. So it's really just like getting in front of as many eyes as you possibly can. That's really, I mean, aside from putting it on other local radio stations like you guys or anything else, like that's usually about the most you can do.
Right. I mean, like, we use all the social media stuff now. We, use Instagram and TikTok, where we used to just, like, be mostly Facebook. So, getting to more generations that way. Spotify pre-save stuff, it's the best you can do when you're at our level, I think.
On this upcoming album, do you have a favorite track on it? And if so, why?
And you want to talk about that?
Oh, that one? Yeah. The title track is my favorite, and I think it's the favorite for most of us, maybe, right? And it's a song that I've been working on since I was in high school, and I've only been in like strictly metal bands since then, and I've always tried to make it work, and it just sounded too pretty. It never like really worked. But then when I joined these guys, it was the first thing I tried, and now it sounds awesome.
And it's the title track.
Yeah.
So it sounds like everybody's contributing to songwriting then. Like, is that a different thing than the self-titled release? Was everybody contributing at that point?
Not so collectively. At that point, really, a lot of what would happen was that our bassist would tab out an entire song and bring it to us, and we might change things around here or there, but basically what the bones he brought us were what we were doing. So, like, he was the main riff writer at that point, whereas now, like, a lot of what happens is Andy and Curtis will get together on their free nights and write things out together and bring it to us, and we discuss what we like or what we think could be better about it, and then add in, the other parts.
It's got to be like a good feeling to kind of have that in place, or else you've got you're getting more input from everybody, so it's more of you all own it.
Right.
No, definitely.
You get fresh ideas, because there's been times where those two will come together with the song mostly completed, and then they'll bring it to practice, and I'll be like, okay, well, maybe we should move this part over here, or I don't like this part, or we should really make this longer or whatever, and we all kind of collaborate and actually like put the puzzle pieces together.
And that's where you get more of the stylistic changes on this album versus the first. The first it was mostly, you could just call it a rock album or an alternative rock album. But when you get more people collectively, putting things together, then you're getting more diversity in there.
Got a question here from Bob Minter.
Hi, Bob.
His question is, has picking a lead single off any album or EP caused any fisticuffs among the band members?
Not really. I think we've actually been pretty much in agreement of what we think our strongest tracks are. I think that on the first EP that we did with Derek, he was like, "Oh, Charlie Brown's gonna be the hit," and it ended up being All Dressed Up, which is the one that I called. So,
so no fisticuffs, but
no
some bragging rights.
But a little bit of I told you so's. Mm-hmm. But we're dating, so we're gonna get that here and there anyway, aren't we?
Hey, is that a scary thing? I mean, do you ever think, like, if we break up, this is gonna cause some major? Well, maybe this is a better question for you guys. Do you think if they break up, this is gonna cause some major trouble for us?
I feel like you two are professional enough that like it wouldn't really like break up the band if that were to happen.
Mm-hmm. No, I can say that it would be difficult, but I do think that if that would ever happen, that we would still try to make something work. We're adults. We're 30 years old. We, love each other, but we also love the music. So, if one thing wouldn't work, I would hope at least the other thing could. But we just, at this point, hope we don't break up. So, and I don't see that really happening. We get along very well.
Is it hard to watch Creepers before or after the show, kind of converging on to Lacey?
Not so much. She's really good at handling herself, so it's just something you kind of get used to. I mean, you can't really be the overprotective person because there's like she's the face of the band. You have to let her interact with people, and a lot of the times it's just fans, and some people might be fawning over her, and I get it. She's a very attractive person, and that's fine. But you know, every once in a while, you do get that guy where it's just like, okay, come on, man. So like, the first thing is like go over there, like put your arm around her casually or something like that. Like you don't want, I don't want to like push anybody away because those are also potentially customers. Like if they want to buy something because they think it'll impress her, that's fine. I'll take your $20. I don't care.
And I mean, from my perspective of it, like some people can be creepy, and if they're making like sexual comments, then I'm gonna be like, hey, don't do that, you know, or try to walk away.
Right.
But from my side of things, as like, especially as like a teenager, I was always fawning over the guys that were lead singers of bands too. So like, I get it. It's like you see somebody doing something you look up to that's really cool. Like, it's pretty natural. So you try to just, you know, be nice to those people and be happy that they see something cool in you.
Right. There have been a couple instances where, I mean, it's rare, but there have been a couple instances where somebody's like actually touching her where it's like, okay, well,
yeah,
now we need to do
much.
something. But if they're just like talking to her and having a decent enough conversation, like I'm fine. It doesn't really bother me. I'm the drummer. I hang out in the back, man. I don't care.
Well, and of course, alcohol makes it easier sometimes for people to get that way too.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm excited for the release of this album. I'm excited that you guys are playing at Model Music. I'm excited that you guys won a WAMI and a BAMI. And this is great, and I'm really looking forward to what you guys have in your future. You're really hitting the road hard and putting in the time, and it's awesome. So
thank you.
Again, Pharmapalooza 3 this Friday.
Yep.
Come and see Trash Pandas along with a lot of other great bands, and it's 18 and over unless you've got a under 18 person that's behaved and doesn't drink.
If it's your own child, yes.
Where can people go to find out more about Trash Pandas?
TrashPandasRock.com. Pretty much everything is there. I believe there's links to all of our socials in that
links
spot.
to everything, including Spotify and Apple and, you know, whatever you would need. So that's the all-encompassing website. Otherwise, you know, just search us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, anything like that. We're everywhere. We're in your face.